and today I have a longtime customer and pin collector with me, and it's Sam Highsmith. And if you want to introduce yourself.
I'm Sam Highsmith. I live in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I appreciate Lisa giving me the opportunity to come and visit with you for just a few minutes.
So let's talk about pins.
Well, it sounds like a good idea. That's what we're here for.
So I know what we're gonna do is talk about your early collecting.
Okay. As you know, Lisa, back in the late 70s, early 80s, there was a resurgence of interest in fountain pens in the United States and, well, actually around the world. Fountain pens, other writing instruments. And one of the factors that came to play is that was also the time that electronic communications like emails and fax machines and voicemail and now later texts and tweets became popular. And I think that people lost a sense of personal communication with individuals. And one of the ways they got that back was turning to writing instruments like pen shows, fountain pens. Now, if you, watching this video, have perchance visited a pen show in the last few years, you may have looked at the exhibitors and the attendees who were there and been reminded of that old Gene Autry song, that silver-haired daddy of mine. In fact, some of you watching this may not have even heard of Gene Autry. But we have aged as collectors and accumulators of pens. One of the exciting things that's going on right now is that more and more younger people, are becoming interested in writing instruments. And it's to that group of people that I really want to address my comments. We're welcoming young people now who are cultivating an interest in joining us in this hobby. In fact, at the 2017 Little Rock Pen Show, I sold a Parker 51 set to a 15-year-old girl, and she is enjoying that fountain pen and pencil even to this day. So I wanted to bring you my comments about how I became interested in pens. For those of you who grew up as I have, I had a mother who always made me write a thank you note. I couldn't go out and play. I couldn't leave the house until all my thank you notes were done. All my youthful social activity was curtailed. I had to write the notes, I had to seal them, and I had to address them. And then, of course, I had to put a 2-cent stamp on them. But now I appreciate more and more, in fact, more than ever, my mother's insistence that I do this. It instilled in me a habit of always thanking people. You know, there's some people even today who hate to write a thank you note. They think it has to be a long 2-page document. A thank you note doesn't. It just has to be a couple of lines saying, I appreciate what you did for me. Thank you for your friendship. I hope to see you again soon. But I also think that this desire to thank people in this way is something else that is responsible for the resurgence in the interest in writing instruments. My personal journey into the hobby began in 1977. My mother passed away in 1976, and in 1977 my father and I were going through the attic and looking for things that she had put up there and forgotten about. We found my first tooth. Seriously. We found the curls from my first haircut. But the other thing we found was a set of 4 fountain pens which had belonged to my grandfather, who also was living in Batesville, Arkansas at the time of his death in 1945. There were 4 Schaefer fountain pens there. I still have 3 of them right here. As I told Lisa, the 4th one lost a deal with the front tire of my vehicle. But these pens were grody, they were scarred, they were in terrible condition. And about that time, I heard of a Little Rock business called Vanness Pen and Shaver Shop, located on Capitol Avenue here in Little Rock, Arkansas. And it was owned at the time by Mr. Orville Vanness, who is the grandfather of Mike Vanness, grandfather-in-law of Lisa Vanness. And I took those pens to Mr. Vanness, and he kept them for about 3 weeks. He restored all 4 of them. He polished them. He put new sacks in them, made sure the lever bars were working, and as you can see from this example right here, they are still in wonderful condition. And I continue to use them today. They are beautiful, beautiful writing instruments. And then, oh yes, I forgot to tell you, my recollection, and it may be marred by time, is that Mr. Vanness charged me something like $10 for restoring all 4 pens and gave me a free bottle of Script ink. Do you all still offer that service today? No, okay. And then in 1979, I met another pen enthusiast in Little Rock, or in Arkansas. His name is Sam Elardo from Helena, Arkansas. Sam and I struck up an immediate friendship, and we spent a lot of time on the phone and writing notes to each other, etc. And what Sam and I recall was 1991, he called me and invited me to go to Dallas, Texas with him to meet some other pen lovers. I accepted Sam's invitation. I didn't know at the time that pen lovers even gathered. But we went to Dallas, Texas to what I now refer to as the first ever Dallas, Texas Pen Show. This gathering took place in the home of Gene Armand and his wife Jennifer, in the living room of their home. Sam and I recall that there were about 10 people there, including Sam and myself, most of whom today we know as legends in the field of the pen fraternity. Regretfully, several of them have passed on by now. But those of you who have been around a while will recognize the names of Julia and Boris Rice. You will have heard of Dick Johnson, Michael Fultz, and Harry Boris. A fortunate number of us are old enough to have actually met them, as I said. There may have been others present that day, but Sam and I cannot recall who they were. That memorable day was spent talking about pens. Now remember, I was a newbie there and I had a whole 4 pens, but the others had pens galore. The other interesting thing is that much of the conversation that came out of that gathering, along with photographs of the pens, was information that Glenn Bowen used to write his wonderful 1982 book called Collectible Fountain Pens, that became sort of the Bible for those of us who were getting into the hobby new at that particular time. Even today, it's a great resource book. I still have my original copy. It was sometime later that I realized how fortunate I had been to be able to attend the first Dallas Pen Show. That pen show has grown, as you know. It has grown from the living room, and it moved to various venues north of Dallas and McKinney, Texas, and up in that area. But the growth and the success of the show finally compelled the operators of it and those who had an interest in it in moving it back to Dallas. It is now a function of the Dallas Pen Club. It's one of the friendliest, best organized pen shows, one of the best well-run pen shows in the country. So if you have a chance to go to Dallas in September and visit that pen show, I encourage you to do that. But my best part of that 2 days in Dallas that I'm talking to you about was the conversation that I had with Harry Boris. For some reason, he took an interest in me, and he offered to help me in my quest for pens and learning about pens in the hobby. Harry took me aside. I think we went into the kitchen. He noted that I was a newbie, and he said that he wanted to help me get off to a good start in the hobby. Harry asked me if I would send him a check for $1,000. Now remember, these were 1981 dollar bills. $1,000. And he said he would in turn send me a box of pens that had a total value well in excess of the $1,000. I asked Sam Elardo about this, and he assured me of Harry's trustworthy reputation, and Sam encouraged me to invest the $1,000. And so I did. From Harry, I very soon received a box of 25 pens. Among that box of 25 pens were some pens that we refer to as second tier. For example, Gold Bond, Diamond Point, Diamond Metal, Eclipse. But there were also some very nice top tier pens in there as well. Wall Eversharp, Schaefer, Parker, Waterman, Conklin. Of those 25 pens, I still have 10 of them, and I have them with me today as well. I have a Wall Eversharp that Harry sent to me, as well as a Conklin Endura, a Waterman 56 Red Ripple, a Parker 51, a Parker Jackknife Safety Pen, 3 Parker Vacuumatics, a black regular size, an emerald pearl, and a golden pearl. And then 2 additional Schaefers, the green Schaefer Lifetime and the brown tortoise Lifetime Balance. Those are the 10 that I still have out of what Harry sent me. But more meaningful than the pens was actually the advice that Harry gave me at that show. When he was talking about my lack of experience, Harry expressed the opinion that when considering pens I was going to get in the future, I should really ignore the manufacturer of the pen and all of the other points that contribute to the dollar value of the pen. Instead, he recommended to me that I consider having 3 criteria. First, did I like the look of the pen? Second, do I like the way the pen fits my hand? And third, do I like the way it writes? Using those 3 criteria, Harry insisted that I would get far more personal pleasure and satisfaction from using fountain pens. Of course, you always have to be aware of the financial considerations. But if I saw the fountain pen hobby as a way of making a return on an investment, I would really be focusing on the dollars, and I would lose the true pleasure of accumulating and using fine writing instruments. I fortunately followed Harry's advice and became not a collector of pens, but an accumulator of pens. That's what it says on my card, accumulator of pens. The difference is I try and use and write with all of my pens on a regular basis. I've gotten to the point where I have too many pens to do that all the time, but I still try. And using these criteria suggested by Harry, it has led me to many, many hours of pleasure in using fountain pens. So I urge you who are new in the hobby to consider those criteria as well. Lastly, let me extend a personal invitation to you for live in or near Little Rock or passing through Little Rock at some time. First of all, to come to Vanness Pen Shop. It's a wonderful place to see pens and learn about pens and purchase all of your supplies, but also to join us for the Little Rock Pen Show, which is going to be the weekend of March 16, 18, in 2018, St. Patrick's Day weekend, here in Little Rock. We have a website for the Arkansas Pen Club, and all of the information is there. Consider joining the Pen Club, too, which meets on the second Thursday of each month, and visiting with others at our monthly meetings. Thank you for letting me have a little bit of time. I appreciated Lisa, and I enjoyed visiting with you. And if you would like to talk to me further, contact Lisa, and she can tell you how to reach me.
He comes around.
Happy hobby.
I have one question for you, though.
Sure.
What's your favorite pen? If you had to pick one pen, what would your favorite pen be?
Can't do that.
Okay.
I can't do that.
They're all babies.
Yeah, exactly.
I know
Now,
that you like Pelicans, too. So.
I can tell you in modern pens, and I have an accumulation of modern and vintage pens. So among the modern pens, I would say the Pelican 800 series is my favorite. They make a fine nib. They're a good German pen. As you know, I go between medium and broad nibs. And in fact, as a matter of fact, I have the Ocean Swirl in my pocket. And I also have a Pelican rollerball in my pocket. So yes, I like them all.
And then in vintage, what do you think you collect more of? Okay, what do you accumulate more?
I have more Parkers and Schaefers than anything else. Okay. I have found them to be good, reliable pens. They're easily repaired by someone who knows what he or she is doing. And I have had virtually no trouble with any of those. Okay. and I enjoy writing with them. And I do. I have different nib sizes. I have a fine point for writing checks and things like that. I have medium points for just writing, and then I have bold or broad points that I use for my signatures and things like that.
That's cool to know.
Yeah.
And you guys can come by and visit with Sam at the Arkansas Pen Show. We look forward to seeing everyone there and having a great time. It'll be spring here in Arkansas, and you can come.
We hope.
I know. It feels like the never-ending winter right now. You guys, we'll see y'all in a month. Bye.
Thanks very much. Have a great day.